Hello, Puny Podians. This is current day Ryan, or maybe slightly past Ryan, depending on when you're listening to this, what episode it's on the front of. Anyway, David and I have decided that we wanted to share with you some of our favorite content that we make. Our super secret spoiler show. These episodes are typically released via the Ears Up Patreon. However, we figured we're past the Infinity Saga, we might as well grab some of those Pym particles, run through the quantum realm, and release these super fun episodes from the past. A few notes before the episode starts. First, we don't have a language filter in these episodes, so Cap, cover your ears. Secondly, as the name implies, these have spoilers for everything up to and including any current releases at the time of recording. One last note, these were recorded about 2 years ago, and they undergo very, very little editing. In fact, the sound quality will kind of be what it is, and you'll kind of hear it change over time as I learn and change. Also, things we say might be a little bit out of date. We don't have Doctor Strange's time stone to be able to go back in time and correct ourselves and know the future. Anyway, I hope that you guys all enjoy this nonsense. And if you want to get these less than 2 years from when we record them, go join the Ears Up Patreon. The link is in the show notes as always. Enjoy the episode.
Thanks for visiting the TVA.
I don't even remember how we start the secret show, but it starts something like this.
It's the super secret spoiler show, the super secret spoiler show. It's super. It's secret. It's a spoilery secret super show, a spoilery secret super show. It's secret. It's super. We've always wanted to chat about the MCU. We've always wanted to spoil Marvel movies for you, so listen to us as we start to nerd out. You'll learn some things you knew nothing about. Go grab a beer, lend us an ear, won't you check our show out? Won't you please, please won't you please, please won't you check our show out?
Welcome everybody to the super secret spoiler show for Puny Pod's episode on the Avengers. For the very first time on the super secret spoiler show, we got to keep our guest around. Basically, we had a guest who actually didn't mind spending all afternoon with us and didn't have a heart out.
Wait, what time is
Eric.
it?
What's that?
Oh, man. I said, wait, what time is it?
All right. So, also in not like our usual tradition, we are also recording this right on the heels of the main episode, which is kind of fun. We haven't had quite as much time to digest the main episode as we usually do to record these things. So it's all fresh, and if
we'll do it live.
Sound tired, that's why.
We'll do it live.
So yeah, to start the super secret spoiler show, let's get into our cups a little bit. So, as you should know by now, if you've been listening to the super secret spoiler show for 6 episodes, we cuss in this. Our language filter is off. Our spoiler, as the name suggests, spoiler filter is off. And we also like to start off with what we are drinking. So, I will go ahead and I will get started. I like to usually go with something themed, and I thought I had something themed in the fridge. And I'm going to act like I planned this one, and it wasn't just grabbed out of a mixed pack and forced into the theme. But I am drinking Dead Guy Ale by Rogue Brewing.
Oh.
A classically great beer.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Maibach with a robust malt profile and sweetness that is balanced by the liberal use of bittering hops. It's a really good beer. forcing it into the theme. Coulson is a dead guy, so
Oh, there we go.
dead
Okay.
guy ale.
Have you had the dead guy whiskey?
I have not had the dead guy whiskey. I've had. They did I don't think it's cinnamon. I think it's actually peppers. It's upstairs right now. A version of their whiskey that was aged on something spicy, whether it was cinnamon or peppers.
Okay.
But it was, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. I've seen that they have some other varieties of the whiskey. I've never tried any of the others because they're all $75 a bottle. But it's good once in a while as something you can show off to people and go, they distilled this from a very good beer.
Yeah. I really like Rogue. Actually, here in the recording studio, back over to my right, I have a whole wall of beer stuff, and one of the whole shelves is bottles from Rogue's line of beers that they did with Voodoo Donuts. So
Okay.
they're like Pepto-Bismol pink bottles, and they have
Right.
really cool art on them.
It's fun.
So yeah, a whole line of that, and then there also on that shelf I have the sriracha beer that they did. They made a beer flavored with sriracha. No, it was not that good.
Okay.
And a couple of beers from the first couple beers that they produced from their farm. So Rogue Brewing also has a farm out in Oregon. And so I have the first batch of the pumpkin that they did from that, and they did a honey kolsch with some honey from the bees that they also have on that farm, and I have bottles from the first batches of those that I got. So
Do you
good
happen
stuff.
to have the Mamma Mia pizza beer? Asking for a friend of mine who's looking for it. No?
No, I do not have the Mamma Mia pizza beer.
Sorry, Dan.
Sorry, Dan. Cool, David. What are you drinking?
So, as is the case, I went with a themed beer. I went to my local store where I buy beer. They've got multiple fridges, and I go and I'm studying all the names. And one of the people's like, "Can I help you find something?" I say, yeah, I'm looking for an Avengers themed beer. And they're just like, "Wait, what?" Like, so I go through the whole thing. Like, I know what I like to drink. So I finally found one. It is called The Glow. It is by Cellarmaker. It is a hazy West Coast pale ale. It has come in a very large container. It is. I pull up the description. Where is it here? It is citra hops and provide a satsuma zest nose with pleasantly bitter tropical tang and candied apricot on a familiar coastal New Zealand hop flavor undertone. So that's what I'm drinking.
So how did this theme out to the movie?
The glow from the Tesseract.
Oh, okay.
I probably should have said that at the beginning. That was the glow from the scepter, glow from the Tesseract. That's the best I could find. I was like, I was just praying, is there like a beer named after the Chitauri? Is there like how is someone not made like the Mind Stoned IPA? I just don't.
Well, and that's what's funny is a lot of those end up not being canned and sold, in liquor stores. Because our local Comic-Con here in Denver, they partner with Breckenridge Brewing, and they were doing it before Breckenridge was owned by ABV, but they partner with Breckenridge Brewing to brew a beer for the Comic-Con every year, and frequently those are Marvel themed, and there's been a lot of times where I'm like, man, I wish I could just get my hands on a can of that before this show, because it would fit so perfectly, but alas,
oh
they were
well,
limited time. So Eric, how about you?
I made no effort to theme to this experience. I just went into my fridge and pulled out 2 cans of Avery IPA, local-ish Boulder Brewing Company, Avery. It's a pretty classic IPA, mid-range on alcohol, 6.5%. Uses Columbus Cascade Chinook Centennial Idaho 7 and Simcoe hops. Idaho 7, I think, is the standout you don't see quite so often, and you generally don't see the C's paired with Simcoe and Idaho 7 all that much. But they just throw in all the stuff. and it's a pretty solid IPA. Generally not my favorite, but I like to mix it up once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, you and I are both in Colorado. Not to dox Eric at all, but uh, we're both in Colorado, and I feel like Avery IPA and like Odell's
Odell.
IPA
Yeah.
are they're ubiquitous. Like
Yeah.
you're about as likely to find them on tap as you are something like a Coors or a Bud.
Right. I generally prefer Odell's IPA over Avery. But yeah, like I said, I like to mix it up once in a while. I'm surprised I didn't go to Avery at all when I was in Boulder those few weeks ago. That
Yeah.
was I was nearby pretty much every day, but oh well.
Is that where the
There are a lot of breweries in Boulder.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
there are.
is that where
There
the
are.
tap room is? Is in Boulder?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been to the. Gosh, they built a new one 5 years ago or so, and I haven't been to it yet. But despite my proximity to the city, I rarely go there. I tend to turn right and go south more often.
It's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, living in Colorado my whole life. My mom graduated from Colorado State University, which is in Fort Collins and is a rival to CU, which is in Boulder. And so my family has always avoided Boulder. I don't get it. I get the rivalry between the schools. I don't get the avoid the city the school's in. That's a little bit much for me.
Yeah, there's a lot in Boulder that's fun, and spending so no reason to dodge around it. I've talked about it on other shows. I had jury duty recently, and I got selected for a trial and was in Boulder every day for a week. And yeah, it reminded me. I'm like, I like Boulder, right? Why don't we come up here? It's as far away as Golden or any other major city around here from my place. Everything's far away from my place. I live on a mountain. But yeah, it was enjoyable being up there for a few days and seeing the sights, and yeah, it was mildly traumatizing being part of the criminal trial for.
Yeah, I don't want to make you talk too much about it, but
I don't
that
mind.
sounds like it was an event, or adventure's the wrong word. An event for sure.
Did
Yes.
you meet James Marsden, and how was he?
James Marsden, he was actually being played by his understudy that week. The weird thing, watching those first few episodes of Jury Duty, I'm like, I love this. This is great. It's so much fun. Then after a few episodes, I'm like, I don't want to be in that wood paneled room anymore. We're not gonna watch any more episodes tonight.
I loved it. My daughter turned me on to it. She'd already seen it. She watched with me. I was like, I love Ronald. I just want to be his friend. He seems like the nicest guy in the world.
It sounds a lot like people who have worked in kitchens trying to watch like The Bear. I know.
Oh, it's so I get it. Yeah,
it's just trigger like not in the crappy use of the word, but it's triggering, right? It's like, oh yeah, I've been there, I've done that, didn't like it. All right, well, that's been beer talk and catching up time. So let's talk about our movie here. So we talked about the Avengers. There is a lot that gets pulled from this movie, as expected. Gets pulled forward from this movie, right? It gets pulled into other movies. So we referenced a little bit the deleted scenes with Nick Fury, Maria Hill, and the World Security Council. I know, David, you have this one mentioned in the show notes here for its kind of pull forward.
Yeah, this is actually one I saw the deleted scenes, and I would say the ones with the World Security Council and with Hill and with Fury, I'm really kind of bummed they weren't in there, because they add a lot to Maria Hill's character, and it explains a little bit more of the dynamic. So, like I said, there was a scene at the very beginning of the movie where the World Security Council is interviewing Agent Hill, and and again, it would have been super weird, like saying what had happened before it happens, but she throws Nick Fury under the bus for bringing together the Avengers and blaming him for Reckless and all the lost lives and all the damage done. And then there's a second one where SHIELD, where the council reminds Fury that SHIELD operates under the World Security Council, and they should have been informed. And they remind him, hey, you remember like this Avengers initiative, we shut that down. We're not doing that. And then, there's another delete scene in the very end, where we have that kind of Ocean's 11 kind of montage where we see the Avengers assembling at the very end. They're going their separate ways. Originally, it is you hear audio of the council asking Agent Hill about quote unquote the worst mistake, and her monologue that she delivers is seen over the end of the film, and it's basically when they ask about the worst mistakes, and she says, well, I think we all knew who made that. You thought they were a mistake. I thought they were a joke. Fury only ever saw them as the Avengers. If he hadn't seen that, Midtown Manhattan would be a smoking crater. It was a bad idea with the wrong people at the wrong time, but it worked. They came together, they saved us, and it's infuriating. The Avengers, and she ends by saying, the Avengers were the mistake that saved my world. That's my official statement. And then she pulls this, what I would describe as this gangster move, because Fury's been fired, right? I missed that on first and second rewatch. I was like, oh, he's been let go. And as for the matter that's not in question, were you morons tried to nuke New York? Well, that's on the record. As that we recorded it, we do that, we're S.H.I.E.L.D. So if you're thinking about coming after Nick Fury ever, think really, really hard. And then the scene where we see at the very end of the movie where she walks onto the bridge and she's talking to Fury. This is where right before that, Fury and Hill have this interaction, and Fury says, how did that go? And she says, I sold you down the river, sir. You should have your job back within the month. And he's like, good work. And then it continues to the end scene. And I loved that so much. And it was so good.
That is
and
cool.
Yeah. It's like, her character was very like kind of one-dimensional in the movie, but like it's cool to have this skepticism about it. It was really, really good. I encourage people to watch it.
It'll be interesting to see if that comes back, right? So Maria Hill is confirmed to be in Secret Invasion, coming out later this month. I'm super excited for it. I'm sure you guys share some of that excitement.
Secret what? I haven't heard.
Yeah, right. So it'll be interesting to see if that like skepticism, and it'll be interesting to see what her character looks like, right? So Secret Invasion is set modern day MCU as of recording, so all the Avengers movies have happened, the snap has happened, the blip has happened, everything has happened. Is Maria Hill still kind of that like agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. first, Nick Fury's cheerleader second? And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean, like
chief supporter. Yeah.
Chief supporter.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Or has she gone, okay, that was a mistake, but you know what? We kept making the same mistake and it kept working.
Or is she a Skrull?
I mean, I guarantee you at some point during the show, she will have been a Skrull. I will put that money out there now.
The one thing I saw, so when I rewatched it, or I'll ask you all, like, what were your thoughts on seeing the World Security Council and knowing that S.H.I.E.L.D. has at this point in time already been compromised by Hydra? Did anything jump out at people when they're rewatching it?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting with these rewatches is like, I have to wonder how much of this was planned. Like, how much of this is Kevin Feige has like a master timeline and he's figured out what needs to happen where, and he knows that already this is really Hydra controlling S.H.I.E.L.D. And how much of that is kind of after the fact? Do we pick up these pieces and build them in? I think probably the World Security Council was infiltrated at this point, and I think the plan was there for it to be exposed as infiltrated.
Interesting.
I think you're right. I think it's a little bit of A and a little bit of B. A little bit of like some of this stuff is planned, and some of it is like, oh, we've left a kernel here that we can maybe exploit later on. So Gideon Malik, who we later on learned is a Hydra agent, it might have been the one who convinced them to go ahead and launch the nuke. It would, while it would destroy, bummer alert, it would destroy New York, but it would get rid of the Avengers problem, right? Which probably fit with Hydra's goal. And then I read another theory that said with the tie to Winter Soldier, which suggested that Dr. Alexander Pierce, who was also a member of Hydra, saw the Avengers as an obstacle and convinced the council that the nuclear option. And then, when it didn't work, then here we go. Let's move on to Project Insight. So I thought those were interesting. I don't know if either one of those are true, but it is kind of fun to look back in hindsight to think like, oh, maybe Hydra's kind of running some stuff here. I wonder wonder how this will play out. So,
yeah, I like that. I mean, in some ways, it's hard to think that Feige really had this plan going when they're rolling the dice as to whether or not people are going to even see this movie,
right,
or react well to it. And maybe he had some ideas, but it does track well. The thing that I think tracks the best is the nuclear option, because it fits with Hydra's goals of creating fear and reliance on authority to solve the world's problems, authority and submission and monitoring. And it gets rid of the main people that are threats, these superpowered individuals, or at least super capable individuals when it comes to Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Yeah.
They're just really capable. They're not They're not that super. Come on.
Do you think the nuke would have killed Thor and Hulk? Just out of curiosity.
Definitely not Hulk.
Yeah,
Well,
Hulk.
yeah.
I think Hulk could withstand a nuclear blast.
Thor, maybe if he'd probably fly backwards and I don't know, fly out into space.
Can he outrun a nuke?
I don't know.
Do the Transformers leap away from the explosion?
He got kind of worked by Iron Man a little bit. I'm kind of like, I wonder if they nerfed him. No, I'm just curious. Yeah, but I think you're right, Eric. It does definitely feed into that fear factor that Hydra was doing behind the scenes. What other like little items? I'm just curious. Like, what other items jumped out at people in terms of like, oh, this really, I saw this crumb laid here, and then we pays off in this future movie.
A couple of ones that I don't think will require that much discussion, but I like that they got pulled. One was the Tesseract, right? So we see in Captain Marvel's first solo film, we see that the Tesseract has been in control of S.H.I.E.L.D. and kind of it's a central factor to that movie. And it ends up being swallowed by the Flurkin at the end, which is so great.
I was going to say, can you consider it being in their control when an alien has literally ingested it?
Yeah,
that was one of the ones that struck out at me when Banner's talking to Tasha, he asks if Fury wants him to swallow it, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. So that one's a fun little like pullback. The other one that, again, little one that probably doesn't merit that much discussion, but one of the currently unreleased What If episodes. So it was meant to be part of the first season of the animated series What If. It's a fully produced episode from my understanding. And they have actually produced toys like Lego sets and some other stuff that tie into it. And they just didn't release it. So it's supposed to be part of season 2. Is what if Iron Man didn't make it out of the portal? And he got stuck out there with the Chitauri. And so the what we know about it is he kind of made the best of the situation. He took Chitauri tech and built, more suits and cool like alien looking suits and stuff like that. So that does exist, and I'm actually really excited for. I love the What If stuff. I loved the comics. I have a ton of the What If hero clicks. I guess they're up above me here in the studio.
That takes me back. HeroClix. Wow.
Oh, dude, you should see the HeroClix I have around here. I have a whole brick that I was gonna do a live opening at some point that are all the Disney Plus Marvel shows.
Oh man, that was one of those areas I told myself, you're not crossing that line. You're not crossing that line.
See, it was me pulling back because my entrance into the comic book store was Magic the Gathering. That's a lot of
Okay.
people's entrance into the
Yeah.
comic book store, right? My modern entrance, I should say. My dad was into comics, so as a little kid, we had like a tradition of monthly we would go get our haircuts, we'd go get his comics. I would get to pick out comics out of the quarter bin, that was kind of our tradition. That was my entrance into comics. That waned in my teenage years. Cut to a couple years into college, I'm back in with a nerdy group. Through the live action role play Humans versus Zombies. They're playing Magic the Gathering. I get into Magic the Gathering, get back into the comic book store that way, and then get into miniature wargaming. So Warhammer 40K. And then my drawback was, all right, I don't paint these minis ever. I I suck at
Yeah.
painting these minis. I have a bunch of gray minis just sitting here. So let's go to a pre-painted miniature game like HeroClix. So HeroClix was like my my let's restrain a little bit.
Nice.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I'm really excited to see that like what if Tony didn't make it out of the portal. I think that'll be a really fun one to see once it comes out.
It's funny. That does sound really interesting. Because first I thought, oh, he's just going to die because he's in space, but glad he made it. One of the things, one of the things that struck me, and I had to think about a little bit, was I forget that Captain Marvel occurs well before the Battle of New York. So the Battle of New York, I think, is roughly kind of in the timeline that it's in, and that Captain Marvel is set almost 20 years before. Mm-hmm. And that's when he first starts writing the proposal for the superheroes to protect the Earth, because he's seen aliens, and this is why he is so
Fury.
Yeah, he being Fury, yeah, exactly. And he changed the original name of the initiative from the Prosecutors to the Avengers, which is Carol Danvers' Air Force call sign, which is on the outside, which is on the hull of her, it's on the outside the cockpit of her plane. But it's funny, she doesn't appear, she's never mentioned, and she doesn't even appear in the MCU timeline until 6 years after the Avengers, which I thought was kind of interesting. And when she shows up in Endgame, finally.
Yeah. Which I think is interesting where we've ended up with these movies. We don't know what she basically has disappeared. She disappeared in the 90s, right? Like, I think that was set in like 93 is
95.
95. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she disappears 95. She shows up in 2023 in Endgame.
Mm-hmm. Chilling.
And we will I don't want to say we'll never know, but to this point, we have no content for what she's out doing between those two, and we likely won't, because we've made the decision to move forward, right? The Marvels, which is coming out later this year, is going to be modern day MCU, so it's after the events of everything. It's weirdly, we've caught up to Endgame. We're in 2023. Endgame was in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So we've actually like looped back around and caught up with Endgame. So again, it's the series, or the universe is contemporary with us. And I think there was plans. I remember kind of hearing plans of Captain Marvel turning into a little bit of a period piece series for a little while, where maybe she pops back in the early 2000s and we get an early 2000s period piece or whatever.
Like Fury did use the pager a couple other times. She showed up.
Right. Or what she's off, maybe what she's off doing off planet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Peek back. Yeah. But unfortunately that's just not where we have been. So at this point, she's gone off to do her own adventures that we may never see, and then come back in 2023 to blow a hole through a ship of Thanos's and mysteriously not be the person who snaps to get rid of Thanos, even though she was probably the only one that was in action that could withstand that snap. But and she definitely held the Infinity Gauntlet during that fight.
She was maybe unconscious. I don't know. Thanos threw her, right?
Well, no, because she comes down and she says, "Hey, Peter Parker, you got something for me?" and takes the Infinity Gauntlet at that point. And
oh, you're thinking she just puts it on, snaps it back, and
then we're done.
Rather than the previous plan of get it out of here.
Yeah. So she does the snap that Tony does, essentially.
Interesting.
Just way earlier in the fight. But that's a plot hole for another movie.
Sure.
There were a couple Endgame. God, the Endgame episode is gonna be like a day long. But it's gonna make like certain weddings seem short. Avengers Endgame, I thought there were a couple things which jumped out at me. So the sacrifice play, which Tony makes to defeat Thanos, right? Pretty obvious. And the other one was everything special about you came from a bottle, which is disproven when Steve Rogers wields Mjolnir.
Except for dad ass.
Which I watched a video. I watched a video of someone in a movie theater had recorded that, and the gasps and the cheers, and I got like tingles all over again just watching it. I was like, I've seen this movie so many times.
Dude, the portal scene. I know we're stealing from ourselves. Ourselves like 2 years from now when we get to Endgame.
We'll delete this.
But the portal scene, it brings me to tears. They used it. They used the damn portals in World of Color 1 in DCA.
Mm-hmm.
It brought me to fucking tears at that point too. I'm literally standing there on the little like plaza where you get in if you enter the virtual queue, holding my sleeping child, weeping, just absolutely openly weeping because they use the fucking portal scene, and that scene just destroys me every time.
It's intense. It really is. Yeah.
Tangent aside, I think Endgame goes back to the Battle of New York, right? Because you have 2 Infinity Stones, which we don't know at the time of this movie, and those of you who listened to the main episode, we had to dance around calling them the Infinity Stones that they are, because it's not common knowledge at the time in the universe that these are the Infinity Stones. So the Tesseract, we later find, or we now know, is the Space Stone, and Loki's scepter houses the Mind Stone.
Mm-hmm.
So the Infinity Stones are there. And I need to go rewatch this movie again to see if Captain America's ass actually looks that good in this movie.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah.
I forgot to pay attention to the ass.
There's a scene of him fighting. I'm thinking he's skipping a few leg days. I'm not gonna lie.
No, okay.
So you don't agree with Ant-Man? It's not America's ass.
I don't. I think he's doing. I think it's a lot of chest and bicep work. I'm just saying, which we will see in the next movie when he basically holds onto a helicopter.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Totally. There's some cool. I can't quite figure out. I know that there's there's also, I think, some sort of tie to Man Out of Time when Loki calling Captain America Man Out of Time. And, Cap responds, "I'm not the one that's out of time." And there's some correlation between Loki, who is taken outside of the timeline later on after, you know what I mean? Like the whole TVA Endgame thing, which I thought was kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, definitely not a thing they were aware of, but retroactively we can make that quip match.
The other one that I have, and I know, Ryan, you've got a couple here as well, but like the other one, obviously the stones, that's like the, big MacGuffin here that we'll see in future films. I forgot about until I saw it again when Tony flies into the mouth of the Leviathan and basically blows it up from the inside because he can't pierce the skin, I guess. I completely forgot in the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that they're facing a similar dilemma. They're fighting a big monster. And so Drax has the brilliant idea of like, I'm going to jump into the monster's mouth, except it doesn't work. And he's just like, he's like my cat,
Stabbing
just scratching away at the door, wanting to get in. Cracks me up.
That is a really good scene. I don't know that it's a direct like pull, but it's fantastic.
Probably not, but still, I still thought it was kind of funny corollary.
Yeah, and then the last pull forward that happens, reference, retroactively that we can think about, is the very first Spider-Man MCU movie, right? So first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming. The central plot is with the villain, the Vulture, and his job is a cleanup crew. He's going in and he is cleaning up from the Battle of New York. He's going in and he's picking things up. And by the way, he's also setting himself aside some technology to build his own gadgets and create his super villain technology. So this movie, again, like we talked about kind of at the end of the main episode, is it set up a lot of things, and even things that are no longer canon, right? We talked a little bit about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that got set up by this movie. Also now non-canon is the
Netflix, yep.
Yeah. And I remember, I think it was in the Luke Cage series, Luke Cage talked about how his neighborhood was disproportionately impacted, and it was brought in to kind of highlight, the way that black neighborhoods are more impacted by adverse events and don't get quite the treatment that like richer, more white neighborhoods get, and it highlights the disparity there in light of the Battle of New York. Those shows are really heavy, by the way. They're great, very good, but heavier than anything in the MCU, really, and more weighty in that way, especially Luke Cage. Kind of a Luke Cage and Jessica Jones both really approach some heavy topics and broach them in a really, I think, healthy way, really cool way. But it is interesting that like that collateral damage keeps coming back up throughout the MCU.
You could do an entire podcast just talking about the Battle of New York and the implications. I think that Daredevil also dealt, and Jessica Jones also dealt with fallout from the Battle of New York. We obviously see it in the season of Hawkeye, right? At the very beginning, we see what the father died in the Battle of New York. We see the scene of them watching what's going on, which was like a fun introspection. And I think that the Netflix stuff dealt with like kind of heavier topics. I actually really enjoy that stuff. I wish it weren't decanonized.
Super good. Yeah.
Now, while that is a shame. Those shows were pretty fantastic. But on that same note, Ryan, I can't believe you haven't brought this up. Half the reason things happened in Iron Man 3 is because Tony's having panic attacks because of the Battle of New York. I mean, sure, his best friend gets nearly killed and all these other things are happening to him at the beginning, but he references, aliens falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
This is a major event for him, and he's just now processing it a few years later.
Yeah, that's where I was about to go, actually.
Oh, I beat you to it.
No, I'm glad you did. Yeah. In a scene that actually I visited the set that it was filmed at, the Neptune's Net seafood place up in Malibu, which we'll talk about literally in our next episode about Iron Man 3. Well, 2 episodes out because we got the phase review here. In the only Christmas movie of the MCU, feature length. Iron Man 3, it is a central plot that Tony is dealing with the trauma. He ends up having a full-blown panic attack after a kid is kind of like, how'd you make it out of the portal? How'd you get out? And I think that also was really cool in the MCU is these things have real action, right? Or real consequences, sorry. I think it's really interesting the way that Marvel suspends disbelief in some places, right? You have to kind of, there is some conceits you have to give up because you're watching a superhero movie, but ultimately consequences are felt from a lot of things, that most things that happen in the MCU have a consequence, and they're felt throughout, and they drive whole movies in some cases. um and so I think that's something that's done really well, and that is a fallout from this movie, is it directly drives the action of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
So Ryan, I want to go back to something you said earlier, where you talked about like, or I can't remember. Somebody made the comment that how much of this is like scripted out, how much of this is known, how much of this is just, hey, I rewatched this and there was this little nugget we could pull out. Much is made about the original, George Lucas's handwritten, treatise. I've got 9 stories written out on this legal yellow pad, which I think is a bit of a myth. But how much of this do you think they really had planned out? And the reason I ask is because, we don't see a lot of breadcrumbs planted in this movie, right? We jump into Iron Man. Next one's Iron Man 3, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Iron Man 3, and they start the next level of phase building. I kind of tend to believe that like they had this phase laid out, and then we're going to make this first phase, and if this is it, this is it. And so I don't think that they necessarily thought like, oh, we're going to get to Endgame, or we're going to get to this other stuff. But I'm curious to know what you all think, whether like they had this kind of 10, 15, now what's now 15-year journey like in their minds, or do you think there was just like, oh, if we kind of get there, we can kind of go in this direction? I mean, I'm sure they're always thinking ahead somewhat, but I don't think they necessarily had like, hey, let's get these 30 scripts all 32 scripts all lined up. But what do you all think?
I don't think so. I think they probably knew what the Infinity Stones were in this movie. I think probably the Tesseract they knew was going to be the Space Stone, Loki's staff having the Mind Stone in it. Probably those were lined out. I think because of the Thanos wink at the end. Now,
Right.
also the fact that guy didn't know he was playing Thanos, and he was just kind of pulled on set and told to smile. Maybe that lends a little bit of credence to they were flying by the seat of their pants a little bit at that point. But I like to believe that at least they knew that those were some Infinity Stones we had seen. Do I think that they knew that in Avengers Endgame they would time travel back to the Battle of New York? No. I don't think that loop back was planned in 2012, 2011 when they were filming the Avengers, right? I think that was probably just something that was real convenient that they could kind of come up with when they were doing Endgame.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, Eric, you want to say something?
No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say I don't know. Yeah, the smiling Thanos at the end, I think it could be one of two things. One, they figured they were going to use Thanos at some point in time. Like they're not going to stop making movies now, right? We made a shit ton of money. We're not going to like stop now. I also think it could just be. They could have gone in a different direction, and the Thanos smile could have been like, "Oh, my plan worked," and we'll get into like Thanos's plan in this movie. But yeah, I agree with you that like they probably had an idea like, okay, we are going to continue making these movies. This is going to be the big baddie in the future at some point in time, and we're just going to come back to this dude, the big purple dude, at some point.
And I do remember fan sentiment like started getting frustrated about Thanos not coming back through phase 2, right? Because we
Not
don't
until
get
Guardians, right?
Right. We don't get real Thanos all the way until like Avengers Infinity War. I mean,
True. Oh yeah.
we get a little bit of he pops in and out. And I remember by the time we got to Infinity War, people were excited but also kind of frustrated that like you keep teasing us with Thanos, just fucking bring him in. Like stop teasing us. Just at some point bring him in. And so I do think maybe there was a little bit of lack of planning there. The flip side of that is maybe they had the ultimate plan of this being a trilogy of phases, right? So 3 phases to be the saga, the Infinity Saga, right? I'm sure the the storytellers will tell you that Kevin Feige had 3 phases in mind the whole time. It was just like Walt sitting on the bench looking at the carousel and planning Disneyland. He knew it all along. But I think that is a lot of benefit of hindsight. Um, I think there was probably at the time of making this movie some sort of sooner plan to bring Thanos back in, and then it just didn't work out. Story wise or money making wise, things were making more money than they expected, so they decided to draw it out longer or what have you.
Are you suggesting that Walt, when he was sitting down, was not envisioning the future Avengers campus being built from the... No, I'm kidding.
I mean, we all know from established TSR canon that while he was sitting on that bench, he was fighting off a flaming lion. Like, the lion wasn't made out of fire. Like somebody had set the lion on fire and released it amidst all the other chaos in that park.
And that was Loki. Full circle. Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right. So I want to talk about it. The whole, when we're doing the main show, all I could think about all I could think about was like Loki's character, his motivation, and what I thought were plot holes. I don't know were necessary plot holes. So I have a couple of questions for you all, and I want to get your thoughts because I'm still trying to figure out how to on rewatch, like how to see Loki's plan, if you will. So the portal. I had a question when it came to the portal. So the portal was set up with a failsafe. There's a backdoor. There's a way to shut off the portal. So did Selvig create that failsafe, or did Loki create it?
I always felt it was Selvig.
But he's under the influence of the scepter, though.
I also wonder if it's just he just knew about it, right? Because ultimately it's the power of an Infinity Stone in the Tesseract being countered by the power of an Infinity Stone in the Mind Stone that's in the Scepter. So I don't know if it's designed in so much as just something that Selvig realized could work.
So do you think it's okay? So this kind of relates a little bit to the Hawkeye part where he shoots Fury and does not kill him, right? Like he should have beginning of the movie, Fury should be dead, right? But what does the Mind Stone control you like 98% of the time, and the other 2% of the time you have like a little wiggle of free room, maybe? Because if it controls you 100%, then I don't think Selvig could have done it, which means that Loki would have had to have told Selvig to build it with a failsafe. That's the only other thing that makes sense.
Like, hey, in case we have to shut this thing down, if things go south and Thanos betrays me.
Exactly. That's what I think. I think he wanted the ability. He didn't trust Thanos and wanted the ability to shut the portal down. And it could have just been like, hey, the army's not following me. The army's doing their own shit, or they don't obey his orders or whatever. Right. But so that was the first thing, because I have this theory that he, again, secretly wanted to lose to the Avengers. And so it could have been, I don't know, change of heart after talking to Thanos. It could have been he needed an excuse to get away from Thanos when he didn't return the Infinity Stone. And it looks better for him to have been captured by the Avengers and by Thor and on Asgard. So I guess that's the question. Do you, I asked it in the main show, like, do you think Loki wanted himself to be captured? The arguments are that basically, like, after Hulk kicks his ass, Loki could have just bailed. He could have just left.
Yeah.
Right. And the other says at one point in time, there was no safe place he could hide. I don't know. Asgardian prison seems pretty safe to me. But like, what do you do? Like, this is the part I'm kind of wrestling with. So because I don't think he cared about winning. I don't think he cared about ruling Earth. I really don't.
You didn't see enough conviction. Just like Phil says, he lacks conviction. Why are you doing all this, Loki?
Yeah,
Loki's
could
like,
be.
Aha, yeah, why, huh? How about you're dead?
I just
Dead.
Too soon, Eric. Too soon. Yeah, like, so he wants to become ruler of Earth just to, like, I don't know, torture his brother over Jane. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I think I'm personally, like, I think I have the personal opinion, like, that it was that he either like I win either way. But I just don't think he wanted. I don't think he wanted to rule Earth. So
I mean, you do have to keep in mind, as far as the ruling Earth side of things goes, at this point, Loki is scorned from one, believing he's the true king of Asgard, right? And ruled over Asgard in the Thor movie. And then Thor came back and took the throne back, and Loki has also floated through space at this point. He fell off the Rainbow Bridge and floated through space, I guess. So I'm sure that there's some effects on the brain there. And he ultimately has been painted as a power hungry character. We haven't seen his transformation yet to where he is better Loki, which we'll get to here soon, which I'm really excited for. But his main motivator is power. He wants to rule things, whether it's Asgard or Earth or whatever. He just wants to rule. And so I think complexity to his plan is not likely at this point in his character arc. I think he is single-minded on that power trip. I do think had this battle or this whole thing happened later in his character arc, I would agree with you. I would say, maybe he was trying to lose to the Avengers because he didn't trust Thanos, or he thought he was safer on Asgard in a prison, whatever. I think the portal shutdown was just a happenstance. I think it's Infinity Stone versus Infinity Stone, right? It's because the shield around the Infinity Stone is the shield around the Tesseract device is fueled by the Tesseract. The staff is fueled by the Mind Stone. So that's two Infinity Stones kind of canceling each other out. So I don't know that it's a designed in failsafe. I think it's just like, oh yeah, these two, that we notice that the staff can shut off the device or whatever. And it's just because they're both Infinity Stones. And so not to poo-poo on your theories. I feel bad. I just like crapped all over your theories, David.
No. So no, we can talk. So that only speaks to like the scepter mind control. Here's my kind of working theory, and I don't know if this, it maybe just impacts my viewing of this particular movie, but so he just real quick. So he appears, steals the Tesseract, knowing the cube is going to cause fear to call Avengers. I think we all agree with that, right? He knows he's creating the Avengers. He allows himself to get captured in Stuttgart, even though he could have escaped, even though he could have won. He's like turns himself in, basically. Black Widow, she gets what she wants from him. But he's like the god of deception and lies. Like, he's giving her the information. He knows what it's going to do. So,
yeah.
Hulk goes crazy, blame it on Loki, brings the team together, which is exactly what he wanted to do. And then you kind of have to ask yourself, okay, well, why did he want this? So, I don't again, I think he wanted the Avengers to. My conspiracy theory is, I think he wanted the Defenders to beat the Chitauri, so he could be taken back to Asgard, and that was the plan. And he didn't care about Earth. Like, he's gonna be like, that would just be boring for him. He basically just wanted to ride home, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess it is a ticket home for him to, because that's all the power he wants is over Asgard, right? Like, that's his core.
That's exactly, and so rewatching that's all I could see as I'm watching it. And then he, wants to try second chance to take over Asgard again. Now the question I have, so with that, I appreciate you guys putting up with my conspiracy theories. But, so the question is, the creation, like putting this plan into play, like, was this Loki's plan, or do you think this might have been Thanos' plan? And the reason I ask that is that, like, Thanos wants the Infinity Gauntlet, and he probably knows, if I make it so that this dude goes back to Asgard, and he's already broken into the Odin's vault and stolen it, or, he's already broken Odin's vault, can do it again. Seems to me like, I don't know, maybe I'm playing like 3-dimensional chess here, but it to me seems like that giving Loki the scepter was a way in which Thanos could kind of direct or control Loki. And that's kind of the part I kind of struggle with a little bit. But anyway, what do people think of that crazy theory?
I don't know that Loki was mind controlled, but I think manipulated by being given power. Like,
you're influenced in some way.
Yeah. I don't think magically manipulated, but just like manipulating somebody by bribing them, right? He was kind of bribed with the scepter.
And
I
Thanos did the
see
same in Guardians. He's manipulating
Ronan.
Mm-hmm.
I'll to say Rodin, and no. But, he manipulated Ronan by saying, "Hey, cool, get me this thing, and I'll blow up all your enemies."
Yeah. I mean, that's what Thanos ultimately in phases 1 and 2. That's what he does, right? He's the puppeteer. He's driving from behind the scenes until he can get all of his Infinity Stones to do his ultimate snap. And so he is the master manipulator there.
Yeah. The theory that I think, Ryan, to your point, the scepter arguably isn't doing like full on mind. It's not like I've given you the scepter and now I completely control you. But the scepter, I think, does, as you said, influence the person that wields it. And Marvel has essentially confirmed that part. Because if you look at their official character bio on the Marvel website, it states, quote, "Gifted with a scepter that acted as a mind control device, Loki would be able to influence others. Unbeknownst to him, the scepter was also influencing him, fueling his hatred over his brother Thor and the inhabitants of Earth." And so when I watch this, that allows me, to better appreciate the supervillain Loki that we see in this, because he's a dick in this. He's not just like the impish brother, like he's
right
fucking killing people. And so, it kind of makes sense that that it's somehow like bringing out this emotion, this feeling in him, and it's hyper, driving, for lack of a better term, like these emotions and making him do things. I still wonder, like, what, if any, role Thanos might have had in the overall thing. And maybe Thanos's play is just like, cool, like if he follows my orders, I get the Tesseract, and if he loses, he's going to go to Asgard, and I'm going to get access to the Infinity Gauntlet. So we'll see. I don't know. Just thought it was kind of an interesting theory. It's been running through my head for a couple days. So
yeah,
well reasoned,
for sure. Well, I think that moves us on to David's favorite segment of the super secret spoiler show. So I guess, David, you do a better, because I feel like I'm bragging about myself if I
Okay.
do the introduction of this section.
So I am in awe of your beard. I'm in awe of Eric's beard. I have something which looks like those 1970s toys where you have the metal magnet and you do the little metal shavings. You put a beard on a person in a little container, a little toy. And so I have been struck by some of the facial hairs in the MCU. This started just as a joke. We were talking about Obadiah Stane's beard. But so we had this fun little running joke, like who has the best facial hair in the movie? There's going to be a couple episodes. I'm telling you right now, we're just going to go to like best wig because no one has facial hair. But there are in this, and I would like to get both of your impressions because you both have fabulous beards. There are 4 people in this movie that sport facial hair, and I want you to rank them, and I want you to describe their beards. We have Nick Fury, we have Thor, we have Tony Stark, and lastly, we get the guy at the end of the movie is getting his beard shaved into like what is like a
Who else are we
like
getting here? Oh, that
wishy
kid.
goatee. Yeah, curveball. So I want you to rank them. Like who has the best facial hair in the movie? Who has the worst? And just general thoughts. So
That's
Thor,
fair.
Fury, a random dude at the end, and Tony Stark.
So I'll go ahead and I'll break the ice here. I think
The expert. Yeah.
I think number 1 for me is Tony Stark. He has recovered from his Iron Man 2 hack job of a beard. It looks a lot more natural here. It is definitely still very cut. It's very designed. It's very tech bro-y, with the like kind of disconnected goatee that he's got going on, with his Black Sabbath t-shirt. But ultimately, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Downey Jr. had grown out some facial hair and they cut it into it in this movie. I would not have said the same about Iron Man 2. It was very, very clearly a prosthetic. In this movie, it's a little bit more natural. It looks like something that I could see, like I said, a tech bro actually rocking. So I think that's number 1. Obviously the guy who emulated him actually probably should have been number 1 because emulation's always better than the original. But I think number 2 is probably Nick Fury. Nick Fury's again looks like something Samuel L. Jackson maybe grew and they like trimmed makeup and hair, kind of fixed what he had. Thor's is way more stubbly. I feel like he had more heft to his beard in his introductory movie, and he's kind of shaved it back. It's not that long in this one. It's more of just a little bit of stubble, 5 o'clock, a little bit more than a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my ranking there. Any differing opinions, Eric?
I was going to put Fury first.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Agreed.
it seemed, even though it is well sculpted, and this is I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like in 2012 we were coming out of the age of ultra sculpted tight beards.
Yeah.
I know that's when I fully abandoned mine. But
Okay, wait. Do you have a photo of 2012 Eric or 2010 or 9?
we have a photo of 2008 Eric on his honeymoon in Walt Disney World, where Terrence Green described me as a boy band reject.
That's phenomenal.
I never got it that well sculpted, but it was always tight. It never got long. I felt cool at the time. And then when I started working nights in the emergency department, I'm like, what am I doing? Even though a longer beard was violating dress code, it's like, I work in the ED in the middle of the night. Everybody else here is showing off tattoos and has long hair.
So Tony, so Fury's your number one.
Yeah, I think Fury was number one. It just felt more in line with his character. Tony's was good, but it's just that little separation between the goatee and the mustache was it's just douchey.
I don't think he can grow it. That's my theory. That's my working theory. Like he, I remember when I was younger, like this part it was kind of not as full, and that's my theory that he can't grow it.
There you go. And Hemsworth, Thor's beard is pretty good, but yeah, it's not as robust as other Thor movies. The kid at the end, the only thing I don't like is it looks unnatural. It looks too dark. It looks too dense. It could be real.
Yeah, he definitely combed some Rogaine through it.
There we go. It just didn't seem. It's like they pasted it on him for one scene. All right, there we go.
It's pretty. It's yeah. Now imagine you're an actor and you're auditioning a role for a Marvel movie. And we're like, fuck yes, let's do this. Let's do this. I'll be Banner. I'll be the Galaga guy. I'll be anything. Like, hey, here's what I want you to do. I want you to wear you're going to be in it for 2 seconds and you're going to have a shitty goatee. And you're just like, man, okay, I guess it's cool.
People will laugh at you. It'll be great.
You're like the dude who's in the soaring over the world introductory video, and he's got the mousers on. He takes it off, and everyone's laughing at him. It's like, well, I'm famous because I was in the video, but everyone just laughs at me. That's not. It's not cool.
He's bald, ultimately.
Yeah. He's bald. Ha ha ha. Anyway, okay. My the thing that I think of, I'm going to embarrass myself here. I think about this way too often. It's just like, if I could take a beloved American actor, thespian, Superman
National
enthusiast.
treasure, if you will.
National treasure is absolutely right. And I think I just need to call this section National Treasure. Nicolas Cage, nephew of famous director Coppola. Who would you, if you could magically put him in this movie, in any role, who would you cast him as? And you cannot cast him as every Avenger because that is cheating. You can only cast him as one.
Because that's the obvious choice.
That's the obvious choice. Can you imagine them going around the Avenger circle and it's all just Nicolas Cage?
Somebody deep fake it quick.
Oh my God, it was so good. It'd be so good. Anyway, who do you guys think? Who would you pick?
Eric, do the honors.
Like I said, I've been contemplating this for a while, and while it would be funny to waste Mr. Cage's talent on like the Thanos cameo at the end, he just turns around like, oh. But I think the character that most fits with Nick Cage's scenery chewing abilities and perhaps odd inflections is the other.
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
That's a good one.
Humans, they're unruly.
There's an extended scene between Loki and the Other that now I'm envisioning Nick Cage doing, and I am in for it. So good. So good. Ryan, who would you choose?
So I don't want to take away from the actor who portrayed this particular character because I think he did a fantastic job. Clark Gregg as Coulson was fantastic, but can you imagine Nick Cage in the Coulson role and like delivering especially that like dying monologue? They would have nothing to. And you know he would say avenge. He wouldn't let them leave it at they would have nothing to. He'd have to say avenge.
Try it again, Nick. Don't actually say the last word, okay? Rolling.
They will avenge me. No, Nick. Stick to the words.
Steve,
Robert,
I need you to sign my cards.
But Robert does it all the time. He doesn't read the words. He makes shit up all the time. Oh my god.
Plus, the best part of that would be if he would get to go on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he could be in another Ghost Rider project because Ghost Rider showed up in in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Good
so.
point.
Oh my god. These are all fantastic. I can imagine him in Agents of
roll
S.H.I.E.L.D. What was I cheated? Oh, I put him as Heimdall because I wanted to see him in a bunch of movies. I remember that, which is not pretty at all. Oh man, this is tough, man. You guys took some good ones. I'm gonna take. I mean, I'll probably put him as Loki. You know, I think that he what really kind of encouraged me is like when you mentioned like the scene chewing.
Oh yeah, that monologue against Black Widow.
Oh yeah, like you think this will change anything? This is the basis sentimentality. Pathetic. I'm doing. I'm fucking it up. But like, this is my bargain. You mule and Quim. Like, oh man, it'd be so great, man. Like, he even looks like him a little bit. I know that he would rock the shit out of a wig. Like he would look. He'd probably bring his own Loki suit at that point in time. Probably have his own one made that he would bring. So that's how I'd choose.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Well, that covers all of our bits. That covers a lot of conspiracy theories, which I love it. Great stuff for sure there. So to close it out here, Eric, any last words for our super secret spoiler show?
No, I don't know how to end out these ones.
That's fair. That's fair. These ones.
I've said enough.
That's fair. David, anything from you?
Avengers, inside job, done.
Hashtag Avengers was an inside job.
Sorry.
Hashtag urinal.
Hashtag urinal. Jesus Christ. What the hell's wrong with us? We're grown adults. Seriously.
Oh boy. All right. Well, on that raucous laughter and good times, thank you again, everybody. Very, very genuinely from a very genuine place. I could never imagine somebody would pay to hear me talk. And also, I don't fool myself that much. You guys are paying to hear the main show do their secret show primarily, and we're just that annoying thing that pops up in your feed every once in a while. So, still though, thank you. If you've listened to this point, if you listened to get to this point, we appreciate it so much. Make sure you check out all the shows on the network. If you're paying on the Patreon, you probably know about all the shows. Make sure you check out the merch on Etsy. You do have a discount code. I always forget that our Patreons have a discount code. I'm a Patreon myself, and I forget my discount code half the time. Make sure you use that discount code. Buy some merch. There's Puny Pod merch up on the website, so get that. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. And we will check you next time. I don't know that we're going to do a super secret spoiler show for the phase wrap up. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we may skip a month on super secret spoiler shows. We may not. Who knows? If we see you next month, we will. Otherwise, next time you see us will be the Christmas episode that we record in July, because it's Iron Man 3, which is a Christmas movie. So Christmas in July, released in June. Woo!
Hooray!
Awesome, guys. Have a great one, y'all. Christmas in July, released in August, not June. That's a blooper that I'm going to leave in.
It's fine.
Oh, man.